Hey everyone, I'm Robert Parris and welcome to a special edition of BNEWS Sports Hub. In their third season, the Junior Devils middle school football team has been named the 2023 Minutemen champions. This year, they had a close game over Concord 48-32. In this edition, we will talk to head coach Tim Vandais and assistant coach Steve Dupuis. We also have a couple of athletes, including Joe Nevola, Davi Tannin, Owen Chute, Cayden Federico, and Tasiopolous. It'll be a great show. And that's all right here, right now, on the Sports Hub. Hello everybody and welcome to BNEWS Sports Hub. As you see, I'm in the brand new Studio A, brand new sets, fantastic. And what a way to kick it off as we have our Junior Devs football team with head coach Tim Vandais and our assistant coach Steve Dupuis. Guys, thank you for coming on today.
Great to be here.
So you're the Minutemen champs,
Yeah.
And you went undefeated. Tim, let's start with you just about the impressive victory.
Yeah, so the final game we faced a really tough Concord team. We kind of knew going in they were going to be very, very tough. They're well coached. We actually scrimmaged them earlier in the summer, and they did give us a hard time. But you know, like we did all year, the kids came through, and coaches did a great job, and we got the job done.
Your thoughts?
It's kind of a whirlwind. You know, the season's so long. We started preseason all the way back in May, doing conditioning and stuff like that. And as you get further along in the season, and you start seeing that success, 1-0, 2-0, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. Now it becomes a mission, and you're like, we need to go 9-0 and win this whole thing. So, yeah, it got a little bit of pressure there, but it was a blast.
So, what do you guys think made the difference this year?
Yeah, I mean, like I told you, Steve and I have been doing this a long time, 10 plus years. We've seen all different types of teams come through. Teams that have tons of skill, teams that have good backs, teams that are good on defense. But I think this year, a huge amount of our success was due to our offensive line and our defensive line. We really won in the trenches this year. Team rushed for over 2,000 yards in 8 games. I mean, that's over almost 300, just about over 300 yards a game. Rushing alone, not including passing, okay? We averaged close to 40 points a game on offense. And then defense, we held the opponent to around, I think it's 12 points a game or so. Yeah. So, I mean, but it was won right there in the trenches, 100%. We had probably our best group of offense and defensive linemen I've ever coached by a mile. And some of these guys you'll talk to later, but Steve is our coach in that, and he does a terrific job with all those guys. And our backs they get the glory, but the game is really won right in the middle there. So,
Steve, talk about your role as the assistant.
So I basically I coach up the offensive and defensive line. Like Coach Vandais was saying, a lot of our games were won in the trenches this year. We just had I've never really seen it like that, coaching youth athletics, where you have such a meld of size, athleticism, aggressiveness, and my group of linemen just had that. So, I kind of knew coming into the season that we had something special with the O-line and D-line, but I had no clue it was going to be this special. These kids, when I tell you they bring it every play, they bring it every play. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do in high school. Mm-hmm. I have one 7th grader coming back, Owen Chute. You're going to meet him earlier. He's a force to be reckoned with. And so they kind of made it easy for me. I mean, I'm a tough coach. Tim and I both retired from the military, so we kind of brought that military mind frame to it. These kids responded incredibly.
Now, we'll talk about the championship game in just a minute, but what in particular do you guys find interesting about middle school sports and middle school football? Like, what's the big, energy there?
Yeah, it's development, first and foremost, right? Like, our jobs really is to prepare the kids to get to high school. And hopefully they get to Coach Malian and those guys, and we teach them enough good stuff where we can go out one day and go to Gillette and all that good stuff. But we're still at that level where they listen to us. They're attentive, but their attention spans are a little bit shorter, right? So we got to be on target as coaches with everyday practice plans, everyday game plans, understanding kids are kids. They're gonna have other activities. They're gonna get sick. They're gonna, and so we have to be flexible as a coaching staff always with that level, with that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade group. As they get into 8th grade, you start seeing a little bit of a difference, right? A little more mature, a little bit, bigger, getting stronger. Some kids start lifting, and then we take those kids and kind of do stuff a little bit different. But it's sort of just a development initially, and then give them the skills to kind of get to that next level, and then from there, hopefully they go on and do great things.
Steve?
I think the coolest thing about the middle school program is that they're playing for their school. Like, they're playing for Marshall Simonds. Pop Warner is great. It was an awesome program, but it's something to be said about wearing your game jerseys to school the day before, the day of the game. Just that pride of walking around the school, knowing that you're Eastern Mass Minuteman champions. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Like we got the what is it, Brushfield? I think that's great. It's like our own little facility. You know what I mean? So you almost feel like you have your own little high school team.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
With the scoreboard now, before there was no scoreboard.
Great, awesome,
yeah,
awesome.
Before, I'm sure people started asking. I think I was there for a game a couple years ago. And someone went up to me like, "What's the score?"
Every game. You're
like, "What's the score?"
I don't even know what the score is.
Every game, I would be coaching, calling plays from the sideline. A parent would come up and nudge me and say, "Hey, what's the score, coach?" I'd be like,
"I don't know."
And this year, I think we were actually one of the first teams to use it. I think maybe soccer varsity may have gotten in there before us, but Sean Hart and those guys, they hooked it up for us, and we went over and we got the old school scoreboard. We had one person working it a mile away, but it was pretty awesome because when you see a game like when we played Reading and we ended up winning pretty soundly, and you had a lot of high school kids there. Everybody comes in and it's just kind of lit up. It was pretty awesome for sure.
Yeah.
So we actually have a clip of some of the things you guys sent us from the Concord Championship game. It is the pick 6 interception, and let's take a look, everybody.
Let's go, D! Let's go, defense! Pass!
All right, well, that was a very turn of events there for the better. As we saw in the clip, the scoreboard was off.
Yeah.
Did they have another scoreboard on?
No. There was no scoreboard that game, unfortunately. But that clip in particular, like we mentioned earlier, the game really did go back and forth. I mean, they were pretty unstoppable on offense at periods of time, and we were kind of looking for an opening, and our offense kind of kept marching down, matching them for score. At that point, it was, I think, a one-score game. I think we were up by 7. And Johnny Pupa is the kid that got that pick, and that kind of sealed the deal. We kind of knew. I remember talking to the coaches and being like, I think that's it. And it was pretty late in the third quarter, I think. And I mean, it's just a tremendous play. He read that thing on his own. I asked our D coordinator, Josh Fillmore, I said, did you tell him to do that? And he's like, no. So he read that thing.
Matters into his own hands.
Yeah, he's going to be a terrific player when he gets to the high school.
Yeah, so Johnny's my next door neighbor. So I've known him since he was -1 years old. You know what I mean? I was so excited for him. I'm not going to lie to you. I've watched that clip. I probably watch it 8 or 9 times a day. It's just amazing. Like, he's in 8th grade. His kid's like 13 years old, 14 years old, whatever, and just jumping a route like that, you don't see that. And that play right there solidified the game. We're like, we took their will.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and Coach Tim and myself were talking with Coach Fillmore, and we're like, what's up with Johnny, man? Like, usually this kid has it's so bad because he's, 4 or 5 sacks a game, making 100 tackles, rushing for 200 yards. And, it's like the poor kid only had 2 sacks and maybe rushing for 150 yards. We're like, what's up with Pew? We're like, oh, there he is. A game changer. That kid's a game changer.
For sure.
So we actually have 2 more clips. We'll introduce them separately.
Okay.
Both of them are both on offense scoring, both running plays. Let's check out the first clip.
Go, go, go!
Wow, another great offensive play, both offense, defense. Let's talk about that clip really quick.
Yeah, so sort of a staple of our offense this year, we run a lot. We run a lot of sets for our middle school group, right? We run under center, we run a lot of power sets, we run a lot of stuff out of the double wing, very similar to Stoneham, if you ever watched them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially this year.
Yep. So if you watch them, you'll see a lot of I stole a lot of stuff from them. We run out of the shotgun, we run a bunch of stuff, but on that particular play, it's just a simple sort of power toss, and our guy Jake, he's a beast, and he took it, I think, did he score on it though?
No, he was down like the 3 inch.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right. So,
3 inch
apologies
yard line.
there.
But he got
No, he was like literally 3 inches away
Yeah,
from
you
scoring.
give the kids from Concord credit, because he's as fast as the kid as we have on our team and in the league. And the kid hunting him down, and I think he got stopped around the goal line, and we end up just QB sneaking it in to score. But you're talking again at that point, they had just scored. Literally, I mean, it was a touchdown, extra point, kickoff. We returned it to about the 50, and that next play he ran it like 49 yards, down the field. So it's something we did all year. It was just, like I said, like the kids they were like this. They just nothing bothered them. They were like, all right, we're gonna go score now. So it was a great play.
And what was it? What was that play?
That was super power, right?
Super power, right? All right, so that play right there kind of encapsulates everything we talked about with the offensive line. It's running the double wing, running like multiple offenses. There's a lot for a lineman to have to remember. You know what I mean? There's a lot of moving parts, and so on that particular play, you have an offensive tackle and an offensive guard pulling, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on. But the biggest thing that you'll see in these running plays is the linemen don't just stop here. They go to the second level. They go to the third level. That's why, like these guys are a little bit more special than some of the offensive line because usually they get to that first level. Oh, I defeated my guy. These guys keep going, and they lead them to the promised land.
Yeah.
So we have one more clip on offense. Let's check it out. All right, so that was a scoring play.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about that right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the same play going the other way. That is another power toss play. Like Steve said, you got your double pulls. All the rest of our guys are blocking down, and we're going next level. On that play, though, they actually did a really good job, Concord did, of kind of blowing up the holes, blowing up the gaps. And our running back, Brian Tagia, he's just another special athlete. I mean, he's so fast, and he just kind of saw it, bounced it, stiff-armed a kid, and I think that was another like 40, 50-yard touchdown. I think in that game we ran for over 350 yards. Yeah. And he just runs like that, and then, there's other periods of time during the game, and, we have it on film where, we chunk them for 3, 4, and 5 yards a pop. It wasn't always big like that, but on that particular play, you see Brian on that, and he's just a special athlete. I mean, that game alone, he had 3 touchdowns, and he probably ran for 150 plus yards by himself. So, special kid.
Yeah, it's the great thing about the double wing is it's an offensive lineman's paradise, especially for a coach. You're just on the attack. You're on the attack. You're on the attack. You're on the attack. And the thing that I tell my kids all the time is, listen, come back to the huddle, take a breath. Every play, give me 5 seconds of pure violence, and you know what I mean. We'll get up that field. So, yeah.
So what were the athletes' reaction and your reactions to the trophy? Just seeing the trophy, game's over, 0 on the clock.
Yeah, we were pretty fired up for sure. Steve was, everybody was, because, the the coaching staff as a crew, we've been together for a really, really long time. I mean, you're talking some of us 10 plus years, maybe longer. 'Cause I think you're at like 12 plus.
Yeah.
Kevin McGilvery's at like 15 plus. I'm over 12, 10, 11.
Josh Fillmore's been around for a long time.
Josh has been around. So
Yeah.
we've been doing this a really long time, and we've gotten close. I mean, a couple years ago, we had a team. It was the Ryan Brooks group. Those guys are at high school right now with Matty Conti and Garvey and Ellis and those guys, and Tedesco. They got to the finals, and we ended up losing to Reading. So we've been close, and we've been done really well in this league since we joined it from Pop Warner. And just getting that, being out there, and it's more for the kids. Like I think we were fired up, but then you see the reaction from the kids, and they were just loving it. They were loving life, and they were holding that thing up. And we ended up going out as a group after, and they were filling it with Coke and drinking out of it and all that sort of
Like
stuff.
the Stanley Cup.
I was like, wash it first, guys. We don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
But so I guess in the next week or so, we're gonna put it over in the middle school in their trophy case over there. So it'll be there probably forever, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the kids thought it was pretty cool, but for me and Coach Vandais, it was like a dream come true. I mean, boy, we had it rough in Pop Warner for a lot of years. We played in the inner city league, you know what I mean, and so that was a tough. Like, we didn't have many 9-0 seasons or whatever, but yeah, it was a really cool feeling.
Yeah, very cool.
Yep.
So you have a couple of the 8th graders going up to the high school next fall. So just what will you take away from them competing this year as their last season as a junior double?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna miss them. We told them this at the banquet. We had the banquet last week, and it's a hard group to let go of course, because you're with these kids for a long time. A couple of these kids have been around since they were little. I mean, they came up through Pop Warner with us. It may not be with us directly, but other coaches that we've been associated with for a long time, and they're going to go to the high school, and I think we're sending up there probably 20, 25 kids. It's a big group of 8th graders moving up, and if they all end up there, they're going to be very successful. The program is very, very healthy at our level, and we'll miss them for sure. I mean, like the grit, the toughness, but also the personalities. They're an awesome group of kids that had these just super relaxed personalities. I would always say, things were getting tight. I mean, we're undefeated. There's a lot of pressure. Everybody wanted to knock us off for a period of times. You wouldn't even know it with some of these kids. They were like, yeah, okay, whatever. And it's a perfect attitude because as you get older, the pressure only kind of gets turned up a little bit. So we'll miss them, but we know we'll see them on the sideline, and we'll be coaching them up from the stands like we do for everybody else.
Yeah, so just like Coach was saying, we got like over 20 kids going up to the high school next year. Yeah, right about that. And so the great one thing that you got to remember too is that when you have a championship team like this that goes undefeated, there's 10 or 11 other kids, 8th graders, that probably would start in any other program in any other town. So like we were so well balanced.
We had that for sure.
Where kid needed a breather, I had no problem. You know what I mean? Swapping personnel out, we were just as successful. So there's a good crew going up there. Another cool thing about coaching, youth athletics for so long is like, our son's he's got one left who's going to be a senior. My son graduated last year. I'm never going to see him play football again, but it's like we always have sons to go to the games and watch. They're always going to be like our boys, you know what I mean? So it's a cool feeling.
So how have these 8th graders become like team leaders throughout the season? What have they shown you that you've impressed them?
Yeah, I mean, we had 5 captains originally, and those guys were like sort of come through the summer, right? We nominated them, kids voted, we voted, but then you see these other sort of kids, right? They become, they may not be captains, but they're actually leaders. They're on the bus, making sure the bus is clean when we get back to the field, or every day when we're closing up practice, they're making sure all the stuff ends up in the storage or in the shed, and they're policing the field to ensure like we're not leaving trash back there because we don't want to be known as that program. Even when we leave other visiting fields, right? There's kids out there cleaning up trash, making sure, because you don't want to be known as that program that kind of goes places like that. And we just gotta, like he said, we have so much talent on the team. I kind of wish some of those kids were coming back to us next year. That they may not even have played. We had like 10 first-year kids this year that were impactful, and I kept saying to him, like, when these kids in 2 years from now, these guys are going to be like fighting for jobs up at the high school. I mean, they're going to actually take spots. And those guys, first year, were coming in and just doing the right things, yes coach, no coach, and then after every practice, Steve could tell you, like, these kids are coming up to us saying, hey, how do I get better? What do I got to do? You know, it was just that special group. So yeah, I mean, we had 5 great leaders as captains, but then we had another 15 or so that were just followed along and then kind of exceeded that. So like I said, you know, you're gonna hear us keep saying it, but it's just really great group of kids for sure.
Yeah, it's you can even see it with the JV kids, the 6th and 7th graders. They're already starting to show leadership, which is a good feeling because you know that you're in good hands next season. It was great because just like Coach said, everything was yes coach, no coach, can I get the bags coach, how do I get better coach, shaking our hands at the end of practice saying thank you and excited to get back there the next day. So it's good.
Now we're going to take a trip back to your guys' era about football and the glory days, but let's talk about where you grew up and athletic life in high school. We'll start with Tim.
Yeah, so I grew up in Tewksbury. Played sports all throughout, you know, football, basketball, baseball, all that sort of stuff. I kind of fell into coaching in a weird way because my son Tyler was a young kid and he didn't have a coach, and that's how I kind of ended up there. But yeah, I did everything. I mean, I kind of played everything, and then like Steve said, I was Air Force too, so I ended up, you know, playing rugby in the Air Force. I ended up playing softball in the Air Force, you know. So just an athlete, I coached everything, and you know, all that sort of stuff, and you know, and it was kind of weird, the Tewksbury versus Burlington game.
Yeah,
you know,
must be weird being back there.
Yeah,
was that always the stadium, or was
no, it's a little different now, but it's you know, it was grass field in the old days, and it's much nicer now. The facility's amazing, and they're doing great things over there, like always, and I always support them outside of the time they play Burlington, and then, you know, I support Burlington for sure.
Yeah, so I came up through the Lowell Pop Warner program, Drake it, and then I ended up going to Tingsboro High and played football, track, basketball, just a bunch of sports. I had a lot of success in high school, so I ended up going to college. I started at UMass Dartmouth, and then I transferred to Norwich, which is a military college up in Vermont. I graduated there, ended up doing, you know, a career in the Army, and so I got to play semi-pro football, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I've been playing ball since I was 11 years old. You know, it's something I really enjoy. It was great to be able to coach, you know, the Pop Warner, be able to coach my son. You know, yeah. So I kind of I was bored, and it was a couple of years, and Tim was like, "Hey, I'm going to get this middle school program together. You think you might want to come coach?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't hear from him for like 3 or 4 months. So we were at a 7v7 tournament. It was, you know, my son was a receiver. I think his son was a receiver at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, can I coach with you?" He's like, "Yeah, of course." Like,
I already had him rostered in.
So I was like, "This is going to be awesome."
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's you know, even though we don't have, here's another great thing is that there's not one coach that has a kid in the program.
Yeah.
So nobody's invested in that. You know what I mean? It's all about the kids. And I'm not saying like, you know, but you know what I'm talking about. You do have those coaches out there in youth football where we don't have to worry about that stuff. You know what I mean? It's cool.
So as Steve said, that you came up with the idea of Junior Devils, and what inspired you to take that next step?
Yeah, so this kind of came a few years back, actually around COVID. Before COVID, you know, Pop Warner's numbers were down big time, and it was just getting harder and harder to compete. Like Steve said, we're in tough leagues, and you're playing against Methuen and Boriccas and these towns and these cities that have double, triple our population. Around that time, I reached out to, at the time was our old varsity coach, and I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, what do you think?" And he was like, "You go for it," you know. And then from there, I kind of reached out to they had asked us a couple of years in a row. The league did. They wanted us to join Melrose's in there. A lot of our Middlesex League teams are in there, right, in high school. So the time was coming, and then around that time, COVID hit, and there was no football, there was no nothing, and the initial first team that we were going to bring over was going to be sort of my son Tyler's team, which is made up of now Anthony Guerrier, Charlie Hannafin, John Mello, all those guys, okay? You know, those guys who are making huge impacts right now. And that would be also a mixed team of, you would have added Ryan Brooks and those guys. That would have been, I think we would have came in the league and probably did pretty well. But Yeah, so that was around that time. So we had to kind of kick it for a year, and then in that year, those guys ended up going up to high school, right? And so I was like, well, league voted us in, and we joined that next year, and that first year was kind of crazy because we didn't really know what to expect. We had never played these teams. The games are on like Wednesday nights, as you know. It's weird. We're like, why are we playing Wednesday nights? Working schedules and all that sort of stuff, and that year just kind of we came into the league like freight train, and we were just kind of running through teams, and they were like probably thinking, why did we invite Burlington into this league, you know? And then from there, you know, we've kind of slowly really built it up. It's, you know, year over year gone better and better. I mean, after that first year, the program grew. I mean, it's kind of like what I expect to happen after this year, which is kids see winning, they see their friends scoring touchdowns at Brush and the scoreboard and all that cool stuff, and so kids' registration goes up, and then it kind of dips as you go. You know, it's how it works. But now, you know, we really are a program that's on the rise, and it continues to grow. And last year we had a wait list for the two teams, you know, for a period of time, which is unheard of if you think of the Pop Warner times. We were playing, Steve knows and I know, you know, 16, 15 kids on a team. Now we have 30 on each one. And you know, we think that it's going to continue even when football is, you know, in some locations down, right? I mean, it's, you know, people worry about concussions and things like that, but, you know, the program itself is very, very healthy for sure.
Thank you both for coming on to the brand new set for the
Yeah,
Sports Hub.
awesome.
I appreciate your time, and thank you for your service, and congratulations on the Minutemen Champions win.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're back with some of the athletes. I'm here with Joe, Christos, and Davi. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you think of the set? Just really quick.
Yeah,
This is pretty
nice.
awesome.
Nice.
It's pretty spiffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
So first off, you won all the way this year. How are you feeling as Minuteman champs?
Oh, awesome sauce.
We'll start with Joe.
Man, it feels good. You know, like kind of bragging rights almost about it. You know, even like that 1 year, a couple years ago, as good as that team was, they weren't able to do it, but we were. So it's pretty cool.
When we won that game, I was on top of the world, man. On the bus ride back home, we were all celebrating. It was probably the most fun we had that season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, that was nice.
All right, so not only you are the champs, so you finished the year at 9-0. How were you able to motivate the team to have a successful season?
You know, like the first few games, the first few games weren't the hardest, but like Woburn, Winchester, you know, like those kind of halfway through the season, those were, you know, like the hardest. And when we beat Winchester, that kind of showed that like this team can actually like do something, and I was like, we can go all the way.
So me and Davi were playing varsity last year, and every single game, I would just think, we lost to this team last year, let's not do it again. We'd get in a huddle and I'd be like, all right guys, for those of you that were here last year, you remember this game, let's get our comeback.
Yeah, every huddle I'd be like, yo, lock in, we gotta be done on the next play.
So you had a really good defense this year with 2 close games against Winchester and the championship against Concord. What did the defense do differently this year?
I mean, I didn't play on defense, so you know, I can't really answer that. But I mean, we were just a lot more aggressive on offense and defense. I know that.
Last year, I could tell that the motivation was a lot better than last year. Our defense was a lot sharper, making better plays, and we just were, I'd say, more highly motivated.
Definitely.
Yeah, this year we were much more motivated. Last year we didn't really care. Like, we were taking plays off every play. This year we're doing way better.
And same question for the offense. What made it different this year?
You know, speaking for the O-line, a lot more aggressive. You know, even like the running backs and receivers just running harder. For the tight ends, just blocking better. Same with the O-line blocking better. You know, we were just a lot better and more aggressive, all of us.
Our whole offensive line last year, except for one person, was all 7th graders. So we were technically the smaller group. So we really just wanted to emphasize that this is the team that's going to win the season.
Like Christos said, last year we were all 7th graders. So now that we're all 8th graders this year, we're much bigger than last year. We're much stronger.
Yeah, we were a lot more scared last year.
Yeah.
So how'd you get involved with the junior Red Devil football team?
So I started in 6th grade. I'd always kind of wanted to play, and the opportunity came up, and I just signed up. But that was Pop Warner, and then I started, in 7th grade, just returned. So yeah, that's really just how I started.
I started in 6th grade with Joe, and that was when the middle school season first started, but 6th grade was still Pop Warner. And that season, I broke both my wrists at a football game. So I just wanted to come back the next year for the Junior Red Devils program and just, get my comeback for all the games I missed last year for my injury.
I started playing in 7th grade, and my friends told me to play because I'm big.
So what was your favorite part about the team specifically?
This year or just
this year.
All right, so this year, since varsity lost a lot of games last year, there wasn't a lot of nobody was really happy that much last year. Especially when we first lost, I think it was our second game, we'd already had a loss. So, this year we were all just a lot happier, and we're, like I said, a lot more aggressive too, which is a lot better.
Last year our record was 3-5, and after I'd say about our second loss, I could just see that the team last year was going downhill, and we weren't practicing as hard. Yeah, exactly. So this year we wanted to say that we wanted to show that it was an improvement from last year.
Yeah, since we lost our second game last year, we were knew we wouldn't win the championship, so we just didn't try.
And talk about each of your positions.
So my first season, I was tackle. Same thing with last year. I was left tackle last year. First season I kind of switched, but I switched to center this year.
I was offensive tackle throughout all my years, so.
I played right guard for both years.
And what do you like playing? What's your favorite part about playing the position? What do you like about it?
I mean, playing center. I'm the only lineman who gets to touch the ball. But yeah, playing center is actually, you still have to block and all that stuff, but it's less I don't want to say pressure, but especially if you have a nose guard in front of you, it's honestly way easier than having a 4-4 because then you don't got to worry about blitzes. So yeah, I mean it's pretty easy actually, to be honest with you.
My favorite part of tackle is definitely pass protection because when the defensive end comes in the outside, all you have to do is seal him, and it's awesome.
My favorite part about playing as a guard is that I get to hit people on every play. I love pulling.
And what's your favorite part about football and why?
I mean, aside from winning, just hitting people, just making a good block just feels great. Especially like he said on pass protection, knowing you got a good block, and especially if it was a completion, it's a great feeling knowing that you're pretty much the reason that it was a completion.
My favorite part's probably, like Joe said, winning. But honestly, I like going to practices and getting all the install in and working. And just when I get home from practices, I think about what we did and just all the hard work that paid off. And it really paid off as we went 9-0.
As far as playing as a team, because we get to win the championship this year, it was amazing. My favorite part was hitting people.
Everyone's favorite part, but how has your family and coaching staff helped you guys along the way through this journey and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I have an older brother that plays. He started his freshman year when I was in 5th grade, and that's kind of a reason I started in 6th grade also. Yeah, he was just telling me to be more aggressive, stop being soft, stuff like that. The coach is motivating us, yelling at us sometimes, but it's really. It makes you better. A lot of kids can't take consequences and stuff like that, but it really does make you better.
My family's always been my biggest supporters throughout my whole life. My mom, dad, and my sister come to all the games. They come support the team. And Coach Tim and Coach Dupuis were probably some of the best coaches I've ever had in my life. They really knew how to put the nail in the wood and get us sharp to win our games.
Yeah, my parents, they didn't really like me playing football, but I played it anyway. They don't like me getting hurt and stuff.
Yeah.
And how has Coach Tim and Dupuis, how have they helped you guys guide the way to this win? Like, how did they help you along the way this year and throughout?
I mean, like I said, like they're hard on us, but you just got to accept that's like a part of the game. Like you're gonna get, if you make a mistake, like you got to pay the consequences for it. And I think a lot of teams didn't do that. And so a lot of kids, when they made a bad play, the coach wouldn't really do much about it. So they thought it was like okay for other teams. And but our coaches didn't do that. Like if you made a mistake, like they pointed you out and told you to do it better, and then you just went up and got it right.
Coach Dupuis and Coach Tim really motivated us. They would always tell us, like, hey, you got to work on this, you got to work on this. You'd come to the next practice, and you just try to get that as sharp as you can be. And sometimes after practices, coaches would give these, like, really inspirational speeches that, man, those ones touched our hearts, really.
He would have us do, like, conditioning to make sure we're sharp. And if we were doing a play wrong, like we weren't as sharp as we should be, he would have us do it over and over until we get it right.
Yeah, exactly.
So are we all going to the high school next year? Or are we still one more year at the middle school?
So I'm going to the high school. I'm probably going to go to BHS. I kind of considered Shawshane, but I think I'm probably most definitely going to BHS.
Yeah, I'm going to high school next year, and I don't know. Parents want me to go private. So I'm just really looking into all my options right now.
Yeah, I'm 100% going to our high school.
If you are going to high school, you guys looking forward to becoming a Red Devil athlete?
Oh, yeah.
And going to a varsity field to play on the field?
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming on. Congratulations being the Minutemen champions. We'll be right back. And we're back. I'm here with Cayden and Owen. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So you are the Minutemen champs. How does it feel?
Feels pretty good.
Feels pretty good since we couldn't get it last year.
So not only are you the champs, but you finished 9-0 this season. Just talk a little about the successful season.
Well, I think the team this year was really good, way better than last year. Last year's team was pretty good, but this year's team felt way better, way more motivated, and way more like just good in general. Kind of think.
Just like this season was mostly played in the trenches, all our O-line, all of our D-line, getting pressure, getting good blocks, setting up our victory this year.
So you guys had a really good defense this year. Just talk about what they did differently this year than years past.
It's going to get hard. So I think this year differently is that, well, I came up from JV since last year, so I got new people. Last year I got pulled up a couple times to play for varsity. But this year, everybody was more stronger, they were more motivated, like I said before. And this felt better than last year that I played with, so.
Yeah, D-line. D-line was really strong. Like, it was getting a lot of pressure. We ran new defenses, like stop and like counter other people's offenses. And if they tried to run it, they couldn't go anywhere.
And let's just talk a little about the offense as well. I know they had an impressive year as well. Let's talk a little about the offense.
Yeah, so I play left tackle, and my friend River sadly couldn't come today. He's from Bedford. We are good friends. We're good friends, and I feel like that's what made us two unstoppable for the other defense. So I feel like that the offense this year, plus Davi, Christos, Cayden, and Nevola, we were just really good and like way better than last year.
On the offense, we were almost perfect on all aspects of the field. We had perfect blocking, and if we tried to run it, go 50 yards, touchdown. If we tried to pass it, couldn't guard that because they would just guard the run and couldn't stop it.
So just talk about your involvement with the Junior Devils football team. Why did you get involved?
Well, my dad, he's always been a football guy, always a sports guy. He tried getting me into a bunch of sports when I was a kid. I just didn't really want to play them. I wasn't too interested. But then he hooked me with all of his like stories that he tells from like Somerville from the 80s. He played against a bunch of NFL players, and it just hooked me. So I came to this program, and I met a lot of good people. So
I've just been playing football. It's the first sport I've ever played. I've been playing it for really long. I've been playing it since I was like 5, which is like most of my life, and it's been really crucial in my life. I've made a lot of new friends, and I just really love playing the sport.
And just talk a little about your positions on the team.
Well, like I said, I was a left tackle, and, well, left tackle. Can't really say anything other than that. It's just really fun to play that position because you get the pull on rights, superpower rights, and then just have a bunch of people on you. Like the ends and like linebackers can be rushing in. It's just kind of crazy.
I really played everyone on the O-line. I played right tackle, right guard, center, left tackle. And I really enjoyed like playing like the interiors, like right guard and left guard, because I feel like I had the most contact and you could like pull, so you could like pancake the linebackers, which is always fun.
And what do you like about being part of this team?
Well, I love it just because like everybody's so nice. We're all motivated to win. And like we're just strong-minded, and we just love it. So
Yeah, the energy on everyone, it's really like a virus. It makes everyone very motivated and can't stop it. It's why we always win.
And what do you like about the sport of football and why?
why and what? Well, I love the sport of football because it's just fun. I love hitting people. I did boxing, and it was just fun, so I just...
The other guy said too.
Yeah.
Everybody's on that boat.
Yeah, I like tackling people. I love like Ray Lewis and like Ray Allen and all these like legends, and that's just like, oh, I want to be just like them. So I just love hitting people.
Yeah, I'd say with that, it's really fun. It takes your anger off, and it's like kind of relaxing when you get a good hit, and really amps up your team.
And how do you feel your family and coaches helped you along the way?
Well, all of my coaches from JV and varsity, so Fillmore, Coach Tim and Coach Dupuis, all of them, like everyone just helped me get through, like playing, practicing. My dad, like usually he tells me every single play like he did, and then we would practice out in the backyard. We would just go through plays. Like I knew I was going to be a lineman because I was just born big. So he was like, you're going to be a lineman someday, and I'm going to teach you how to do all this stuff. So when I came through, I was just like, all right.
Yeah, coaches Tim, Dupuis, and Fillmore, really helpful. Dupuis is like more of the offensive line, hypes us all up, gets us ready. And Fillmore, defensive coach, really good, can really counter everyone's offense. My mom, big supporter, been through all my games, and she drives me everywhere, so yeah.
And how have Coach Tim and Dupuis helped you guide this team along this year, especially to the undefeated season and champion win?
Yeah, so I feel like building like a killer mentality. That's what I like to call it. Killer mentality make you stronger. They make you like a beast. And I feel like doing all these hard practices can make you stronger, and that's what can motivate us to get a 9-0 season.
Yeah, get us in like the big dog killer mindset where we have the mental battlefield over the opponents. And it just, when we do conditioning, then we can have the physical warfare over them. It just really counters everyone.
So next year we're going to go to the high school?
I ain't. I'm going to go into 8th grade.
8th grade, so you have one more year left.
Yep.
Are you going?
I'm still deciding where I'm going. Might go to Shashi and might go to BHS.
So are you excited? If you go to BHS, are you excited to become a Red Devil athlete?
Certainly am.
As for you, you have one more year going into MSMS, so you're going to become an 8th grader next year. So just talk a little about returning to the team with the Junior Devils.
Yeah, so...
After a fantastic season, this just happened.
Yeah, so like next year, obviously, I'm hoping that we're going to do good. I believe that we're going to do good because we have some really good players on JV, like my friend Adam, Eli, Sam Nochi. Like all of them are really good. and I'm proud that I'm going to be able to play with them again. So.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming on to the Sports Open. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.
Once again, I want to congratulate the team on an incredible season. I'd like to thank my guests, Tim Vandais and Steve Dupuis, and the athletes. I also like to thank you all for watching. I'm Robert Parris, and we will see you next time on BNEWS Sports Up.